What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:25 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. I want to start with Eastern Europe first. So Poland has requested U.S. permission to shoot down Russian missiles over Ukraine. The bipartisan leaders of the U.S. Helsinki Commission are calling on President Biden to greenlight NATO ally Poland to extend its air defense to Ukraine's skies, helping shoot down Russian missiles under the guise of self-defense in a letter obtained exclusively by The Hill. Representatives Joe Wilson, Republican from South Carolina, and Steve Cohen, Democrat from Tennessee, the chair and ranking member respectively, sent a letter asking Biden to, quote, grant Poland the authority to intercept and neutralize missiles over Ukraine, particularly those threatening to encroach upon Polish airspace. The request is based on a push by Poland to use its air defense shields and possibly extend them, which would defend skies against Russian missiles, but also assist Ukraine in its defense. And actually, two incidents in the last year occurred where Russian missiles flew into Poland. The first time a Russian missile flew over 30 miles into Poland. And then in the second incident, another missile flew like a few miles, maybe 5 miles. I can't remember the exact number. Then there was also a missile that flew from Belarus, I believe, into northwest Poland. And then you had that one missile that killed the Polish farmers. So 4 missiles already flew into Poland, guys. Okay, Poland is sick and tired of it, and they want to start shooting down these missiles as they're approaching Poland's airspace, because once the missile is already over Poland, it's too late, okay? Because shooting down the missile over Polish airspace then risks the possibility of Polish civilians being killed with falling debris. So Poland basically wants to shoot them down as they're flying through western Ukraine. Polish Foreign Minister Radek Sikorski proposed the scheme in September in an interview with the Financial Times, and while Secretary of State Antony Blinken at the time said the issue was part of discussions among NATO allies, then Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg rejected the proposal, saying it risked NATO becoming part of the conflict. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who assumed his duties in October, has not yet addressed the issue, and NATO did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So very, very serious, guys. You can see this letter here dated October 28th, and I'll read it to you. It says, Dear Mr. President, we are writing to strongly urge your administration to grant Poland the authority to intercept and neutralize missiles over Ukraine, particularly those threatening to encroach upon Polish airspace. Poland's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski has recently made requests to this effect, and we believe that providing this capability is a necessary step in defending NATO territory and safeguarding one of our most critical allies. Russia's war on Ukraine has already had tragic consequences for Poland. In November 2022, a missile strike in the village of Przewodów killed 2 Polish farmers. While this incident highlighted the proximity of the threat, it is clear that the risk to Poland remains high as Russian missile attacks near the border continue. The growing number of strikes in western Ukraine raises significant concerns about the potential for future casualties and escalation in the region. Foreign Minister Sikorski's request is defensive in nature, aligning with NATO's mission to protect the territorial integrity of its member states. Allowing Poland to intercept missiles over Ukraine would not constitute an offensive act, but rather a crucial step in ensuring the security of NATO's eastern flank. This action would bolster NATO's deterrent posture while demonstrating our collective resolve to defend the alliance against further aggression. So, and there's some more information here, but there you have it, guys. An official bipartisan letter to the president asking Biden to allow Poland to shoot down Russian missiles over Ukrainian airspace, okay, especially ones that are flying towards Poland. Now, Poland could do that, but they need U.S. backing in case Russia were to strike Poland. Because of that, they need to be backed by the U.S. And here we have some pictures of B-2 stealth bombers refueling over Missouri. This was taken yesterday, October 29th. This was sent to me by a viewer of the channel who happens to live under the flight path of the Whiteman Air Force Base. So if you don't know, Whiteman Air Force Base is the home base for the B-2 stealth bombers. And so this person lives right underneath the approach and departure paths of Whiteman, and he can see the B-2s going in and out. And here we have one being refueled. This was yesterday. And then here we have one from the 28th, 2 days ago. Okay, so our nuclear forces are on very, very high alert. And speaking of nuclear forces, yesterday, Putin, the president of Russia, personally supervised a snap nuclear drill in Russia. Russia tested their main strategic missiles, the RS-24 Yars and the Bulava. The RS-24 Yars is a land-based missile that can either be launched from silos or from trucks in a mobile configuration. And the Bulava is Russia's submarine-launched ballistic missile. Both of them are Russia's newest missiles, besides the Satan II. And they're the most accurate missiles that Russia has so far. Now, these missiles are nowhere near as capable as the U.S. Minuteman III ICBMs or the Trident II D5s, which both of those can carry more payload, more warheads, and have better accuracy. But still, this is very, very concerning. Let me play this for you. Here's a video from Russia's state media. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing their most aggressive discount yet on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewith NYPrepper.com. They've lowered the price of their 3-month food supply from $800 down to $500. 3 months of emergency food for $500. That is a really good deal, and it will last you 25 years because it is freeze dried and it's all packed within 6 rugged water resistant buckets. So you have all that food in a small package. You can store that pretty much anywhere. And you can also take it with you. If you have to bug out, you can throw that in your vehicle easily. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $300 off the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, $500 for it. Also, they have free shipping and handling included. In addition to the 3-month supply, they also have a general store. And to get to their general store, you got to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see the My Patriot Supply logo at the very bottom of the page. You click on that, and it'll take you to their general store, and they have all kinds of discounts. And to get the deals, you got to use my link, preparewithnyprepper.com, and I'll leave the link in the description below this video. And Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, confirmed that he requested Tomahawk missiles from the U.S. in a secret annex to the quote-unquote victory plan. According to him, in the victory plan, he asked to give a package of long-range weapons that would be used only if Russia does not stop fighting. So, very interesting. Zelensky officially requested Tomahawk missiles from the U.S., and Zelensky said that the information about Ukraine's desire to receive Tomahawk missiles, which was published by the New York Times the day before, was confidential. Ukraine and the White House had discussed it on the condition of secrecy. So how stupid of the New York Times to leak that out. Okay, absolutely stupid. We also have a U.S. aircraft carrier strike group now in the Baltic Sea. That's right, the Baltic Sea, right next to Poland and Sweden and Russia. Okay, the Harry Truman and the UK carrier strike groups are currently in the North Sea participating in NATO exercise Neptune Strike, a week-long exercise that began on October 24th and wraps up Thursday. The exercise will span the North, Baltic, Mediterranean, and Adriatic seas with air operations across Central Europe and air-to-ground actions in the Baltic Sea. Wow, guys, air-to-ground actions in the Baltic Sea. A U.S. aircraft carrier is in the Baltic Sea. That is absolutely a huge show of force to Russia. I've been showing you guys over the last 2 months all of these high priority reconnaissance planes, RC-135 Combat Sense, that have been flying around Kaliningrad, which is a Russian province away from mainland Russia. It's stuck between Lithuania and Poland, and NATO has been monitoring it like crazy, and now they send an aircraft carrier strike group, clearly a show of force. Neptune Strike 24 will demonstrate the complex integration of joint high-end maritime strike capabilities. NATO will take operational control of multiple aircraft carriers and expeditionary strike groups in support of deterrence and defense of the alliance, reads a NATO release. Neptune Strike series is part of Project Neptune, conceptualized in 2020, and aims to enhance the pace and flexibility of command and control of naval strike and amphibious forces. It also provides the blueprint for integrating multinational strike or maritime groups for contingency and defensive operations over long distances. So basically, that's just a very fancy way of saying they're practicing working together with all their Navy ships, okay? All the naval forces of NATO are practicing integration, working together, and especially their carrier strike groups. The main objectives of the exercise, according to the NATO press release, are maintaining freedom of navigation and maneuver in NATO's area of operations, securing strategic maritime choke points, conducting deterrence and vigilance, and increasing the interoperability in operational domains, as well as fostering NATO's capabilities to enable wide-reaching multi-domain operations. So this is absolutely huge, guys. We know the Harry Truman Carrier Strike Group is operating in the Baltic Sea. I do have a source, a credible source, that is deployed on this carrier, the Harry Truman, and they have told me that they are in the Baltic Sea right now. And we know that the UK and Italy have sent their aircraft carriers as well. And I want to just show you guys some flight paths. So this afternoon, right now, we currently have 2 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air over the United States. We have 2 B-1 strategic bombers over Texas. And we have a nuke sniffer up in the air again, flying over South Dakota. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about why I think we have these nuke sniffers up in the air today and yesterday. I'm going to get into that in just a few minutes, but our nuclear forces are on high alert. This was last night. We had 2 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air very late last night, which is unusual. And then we had a B-52 airborne late last night, which is also unusual. So our nuclear forces are on very high alert. We're also seeing a lot of sub-hunter activity off the U.S. southeast coast the last couple of days. Here we have 3 sub-hunters off the coast of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida this morning and right now this afternoon. And then last night we had 3 sub-hunters off the coast of Florida here near the Bahamas, so potentially hunting for Russian subs off the U.S. East Coast. And Congress conducted a massive evacuation drill on the night of October 28th. That was 2 nights ago. Here we have some video footage that was released by the U.S. government. You can see these Black Hawks, it looks like, landing right outside the Capitol building, and you can see them flying away, basically practicing an evacuation of VIPs. You can see a bunch of Black Hawks flying in the background. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you look at the roof of the Capitol building, you can see some Black Hawks flying in between these trees here on the right. So multiple Black Hawks landing at the Capitol building. This is clearly preparations for nuclear war or possibly some kind of an insurrection coming up on Election Day. This is extremely serious, guys, and Congress would actually go to Mount Weather in the event of nuclear war. At least that's what we officially know. It's possible that they may go to a different bunker and Mount Weather is no longer used. But I did go to Mount Weather about a week ago, and I posted a video of my drive-by of Mount Weather. There's a lot of activity over there. They're building new privacy berms. There was a lot of construction trucks going in and out. There was a sheriff patrolling the base or bunker, whatever you want to call it. So Mount Weather is still very, very active, and officially that's where Congress would go. Mount Weather is a bunker in Berryville, Virginia, just about 70 miles to the west of Washington, D.C., going towards West Virginia. But this is extremely concerning, guys. Very, very serious. And U.S. Central Command General Kurilla arrived in Israel today for a meeting with his Israeli counterparts to coordinate the upcoming second strike on Iran by Israel, which was approved by the Israeli Security Cabinet on Monday. Discussions will include preparations for joint defense against an Iranian attack and to coordinate the rescue of Israeli pilots by American forces if necessary. Okay, so the CENTCOM commander arrived in Israel. This is huge news, guys. We know that the Israeli War Cabinet already approved another strike on Iran, which could happen as soon as this weekend. And the advisor to the IRGC commander-in-chief said, quote, "We have a big surprise for Israel in the coming days." And according to senior Israeli officials who recently spoke to Fox News, all of Iran's long-range air defense systems and most of its medium-range air defenses were made inoperable by Friday night's strike, including 3 to 4 S-300 batteries acquired from Russia in 2016. U.S. President Biden's envoy on Middle Eastern affairs, Amos Hochstein, confirmed their destruction in a recent internal call, with him stating Iran is essentially naked. In addition to their air defense sites, U.S. and Israeli officials also confirmed that Israeli aircraft, including F-35 stealth fighters equipped with standoff attack munitions, carried out strikes against a handful of command and control and guidance radars that were used by Iran during their recent ballistic missile attack against Israel. So I don't know if I believe that totally. Okay, that could just be the Biden administration trying to look good and brag about, oh, we handled it so well. Israel took out all the air defenses. I'm sure they took out most of them, but I don't know if they took out all of them. Okay, Iran is a huge country. They have bunkers all over the place. But it is true that Israel took down most of the long-range and medium-range air defenses. They took down early warning radars in Syria, Iraq, and Iran. So if Israel decides to do a strike on the nuclear facilities, let's say this weekend or in this upcoming second strike that they approved, they've already cleared the way for that. Okay, they don't have to worry about air defenses. But also what I think is most impressive is that the F-35s operated by Israel were able to penetrate the airspace of Iran's capital, Tehran, which is obviously heavily protected by S-300s. So that basically was a free test for NATO, because NATO is switching over to F-35 from F-16, and Israel basically defeated one of the most mass-produced Russian air defenses, the S-300, with the F-35, okay? So that's pretty impressive. And after the recent Israeli attack, Russian officials state that the construction of new military bases in Iran could take years. This suggests that the security dynamics in the region may shift and indicates that it will take time for Iran to enhance its military capabilities. I don't know if I believe that, because Iran still has their nuclear sites. And you know what Iran could do now? Rather than focusing on building more missiles, they can just supercharge their nuclear program and develop multiple warheads and start testing all of them in, let's say, the next 3 to 6 months, rather than provoking Israel to strike them again and strike their nuclear sites. Then they can just hold off on their attack on Israel and just supercharge their nuclear program, build, let's say, 50 warheads, and declare themselves a nuclear state and revise their nuclear doctrine. That would be huge, and that's the big concern here that nobody's talking about. And Biden's senior advisors, Amos Hochstein and Brett McGurk, will arrive in Israel today to try to close a deal that will end the war in Lebanon. And Israel took out the deputy commander of Hezbollah's Radwan force in an airstrike. Okay, Radwan is like the elite Hezbollah unit. And the president of Turkey, Erdogan, said that the whole Middle East is in a state of war and that Israel has attacked Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. And he warned, if the need arises, we will protect our Muslim brothers. Wow. And Turkey is a member of NATO. And while we're on the topic of the Middle East, I want to show you some reconnaissance activity that occurred last night. Here we have a sub-hunter that was patrolling the area between Cyprus and Lebanon in the eastern Mediterranean, and also a Northrop Grumman MQ-4 recon drone patrolling the shoreline of Tripoli. Now, a lot of times you'll see these drones flying here near Tripoli in Libya, and I think the reason why, and from what I've read, is that Russia has long-range missiles deployed here to the coast of Libya to strike Italy and Western Europe in the event of an escalation. Okay, they can strike all of our main bases in Italy, in Germany, and in Spain. We have some very, very important bases in those countries. Okay, in Italy, we have Sigonella. We have the Getty Air Base, where we have some of our nuclear weapons stored. And there's another air base in Italy. There's 2 air bases in northern Italy where they store nuclear weapons. And then you have Sigonella in Sicily. Those would all be hit by Russia. You also have Ramstein and the associated bases around Ramstein in Germany. There's some bases in the Netherlands and Belgium. And also in Spain, you have Rota, where we keep a lot of our bombers. So apparently Russia keeps long-range missiles here to strike Western Europe in the event of an escalation. And going back to the nuke sniffers that we've been seeing in the air the last couple of days over the U.S., so South Korean intelligence is saying that North Korea has finished unspecified preparations for a nuclear test inside of the Punggye nuclear test site, and that North Korea completed preparations for a test launch of a mobile ICBM. These tests will likely be in November, so it could be any day now. North Korea is going to test a nuclear warhead and some kind of a mobile ICBM. They did this before around U.S. elections. They like to test weapons to scare the next administration. And Ukraine and Russia are going to be holding preliminary talks in Qatar to stop mutual attacks on energy infrastructure this winter, according to the Financial Times. And the head of Ukraine's energy grid operator, Ukrenergo, Oleksiy Brecht, said on October 29th that Ukraine may be facing its most challenging winter since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. And the South Korean presidential office said Wednesday that it will begin talks with Ukraine this week over a visit by Ukraine's special envoy to South Korea, as the two nations vowed to step up responses against North Korea's troop deployment to Russia. So Ukraine is going to be sending some kind of special delegation to South Korea this week. And Western intelligence officials told CNN yesterday that North Korean troops are believed to now be fighting on the front line in eastern Ukraine. Okay, remember what the NATO Secretary General said? He warned Russia that if North Korean troops are fighting in Ukraine, then we're going to remove all restrictions on our weapons that we give to Ukraine. And then, of course, Ukraine has their own ballistic missile now, the Hrim 2, which can reach Moscow. They're going to start mass producing that, and then they're going to start striking Moscow, which is going to escalate things. And Zelensky requesting Tomahawk missiles recently, so very serious situation there. And the president of South Korea said North Korean troops in Russia could be deployed to the front line sooner than expected. And apparently some advanced unit is already deployed in Ukraine from the North Korean army, according to South Korea. And South Korea is considering sending a team of military monitors to Ukraine to observe and analyze the expected deployment of North Korean troops by Russia on the front lines of the conflict. And Chinese President Xi Jinping held talks with Finnish President Alexander Stubb in Beijing. And there was some footage released yesterday by someone claiming to be a Lebanese resident, which appeared to show an unidentified stealth drone appearing off the coast of southern Lebanon. And here we have video footage of this unidentified drone. The drone looks similar to a Northrop Grumman RQ-180, which entered active service with the U.S. Air Force around 2016, but has a distinct body that does not match what few images have been seen of the RQ-180. Some have suggested that this may be the RA-01, a top-secret drone developed by Israel and only recently revealed by the leak of several highly classified U.S. intelligence documents related to an Israeli strike against Iran. So very, very interesting. And U.S. ships have launched more than $2 billion worth of interceptors to stop Iran and its proxies from attacking Israel, and ships traveling through the Red Sea since the war between Hamas and Israel began last year, according to the U.S. Navy. So we have spent $2 billion, guys, defending Israel and the Red Sea, and all of that money did not have to be basically wasted if we just took out the Houthis from the beginning and took out Iran and the proxies from the beginning, okay? But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I wanted to update you guys. A lot of things going on, okay? We have the U.S. aircraft carrier in the Baltic Sea. We have Poland requesting to shoot down Russian missiles over Ukraine, and Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, requesting Tomahawk missiles. Okay, nuclear forces here in the U.S. are on high alert. U.S. Congress conducting a massive evacuation drill with Black Hawks. CENTCOM commander arriving in Israel. So get prepared, guys. Things are about to get really crazy in the coming days. I will be monitoring everything. I do have my 24/7 live stream up right now where I have nuclear codes being broadcasted 24/7 with my own high-frequency radio system that I set up at the compound. And follow me on Telegram and Twitter. The links to my Telegram and Twitter are in the description below this video. I always post all my updates there, so if you follow me in one of those platforms, you'll never miss an update. Don't rely on YouTube notifications because YouTube has been known to not send out notifications for whatever reason. And I will go live if and when anything crazy happens. I'm also going to be going live on Election Day starting in the afternoon. I will be live all day and all night on Election Day next Tuesday. And I might be back later on with another update. If not, I'll be back tonight in the 24/7 stream hanging out with you guys. So until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.